And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. It's game number 2 for today. Trainhard versus Team BDS. Two French squads that go up against one another. And some may say it is a derby in some way, but it's more like a Paris Saint-Germain versus FC Lens. It's not really a good... It's like Chelsea versus Wolverhampton.
Okay.
That's kind of the...
Thank you.
Okay, do one of my teams from my country.
AFL. I've forgotten the AFL. I used to watch AFL like 15 years ago. But
really?
that was, yeah, I'm a Lebanese person with Australian family. Never.
It's like
Okay.
the Demons going up against Carlton.
Sure.
I hate it when that happens.
what a terrible time for us to be in. Okay, let's move on though with our game. We'll see it's BDS versus Trainhard. And we'll have a chat about our squads. First up, it is Trainhard and what they have to offer in this game. Remind everybody that the squad is currently working on getting an organization to pick them back up in EUL. So I'm just going to give this a shout here. If you're watching and you want to pick up a team that just kind of lost their organization, unfortunately, this is probably the right time for it with this team, but let's have a chat about it.
I think with Trainhard, it's so much potential. We saw so much growth, and obviously, you know, recent things have thrown that a little bit into the air, and it's very tough on the players because, yet again, they're a roster that sort of, they've just got to play their heart out. They've just got to try and throw it, and extenuating circumstances aside, it was a very rough week last week against Navi when it all sort of, you know, came to a punch, but we've seen growth from them. We've seen such an excel from the first split, and you really want them to sort of build behind that.
Yep, definitely so. And their opponents, I don't think they really need an introduction. The #1 team in Europe, it is BDS. Jess, yours.
Well, if they don't win or get a singular point in today's matchup, they won't be the top dog spot because, you know, we've got Team Empire coming up the leaderboard very quickly behind them, and that could change with other teams today as well. However, they are the kings of EU for a reason. They have been putting on spectacular results. You can see the 67% win rate there. And as a result, I mean, the only team that really gave them a run for their money was that overtime loss against Team Vitality, another French team. We're speaking about French against French. I think it was, and I'm going to get this wrong, possibly the name, I think it was Euro Cup or something, happened in France. Trainhard managed to beat BDS. Was it last year, at the end of last year? It was
Euro Cup?
There was a 6 Open in April.
6
where
there you go.
TH
6 Open Cup.
6
yeah.
Open,
Yeah, and that was in
thanks.
April.
French Open Cup.
BDS struggle most against other French teams.
They do, and that's what I'm
Consistently.
saying. If there's kryptonite out there, it's other French teams. Team Vitality has already done it. Do they fall prey to the curse again here today?
All right, that's the question. Let's see in our head-to-head, though, which two players you guys ended up picking up. And we're going to talk about these players and really hype them up and what they have. It's Kauxis and Playday. What's the comparison here? Because I know Playday is a hell of a player.
Well, I guess I'll pick this one straight back up because my team of BDS here today that I'm focusing on, Playday is one of the highest planters in the entire league. He's only paralleled by Packbull, and the only other team that really is going up against them in the plants is Packbull's team of teams. So I think what we need to be looking at for Playday, one of the top rated players in the entire league, a massive amount of plants, a hugely high cost. It's been really good.
I think with Chaoxis as well, he's, in a way, he's the metric. He's the player where when he's having a good game, Trainhard is seemingly having a good game. Traditionally and beforehand, that was the sort of play, was you would sort of look to Chaoxis. You would look to what was a huge fragger as being the potential of this is who is driving Trainhard today. He hasn't had the same impact, I think, in terms of how consequential he is as a player towards the roster success this split, but it's still early doors, still early games.
Early games, and you know, Playday #4. We're oddly enough closing on the halfway point of this stage. It really goes so quickly, right? Especially when we're here all having fun. It's our first stage together in the studio. It really feels surreal in some way. Though, here is the map that these two will be playing on. And we're going to put it up on the screen for you. Map ban again, 7-map pool, down to 1. And it will be yet another Consulate that BDS get to choose. Oh, this is really going to hurt. Consulate, and because of this, Trainhard get to pick their starting side. They will go for defense, which is why you see BDS on the attacking side. That's how things work. OT, of course, is active with our latest rule here in 2021. Look,
Wow, okay.
It's going to be...
They really want this curse to be doubled down. If you're wondering what I mean when I'm referencing that, the last matchup against the French team that they lost in overtime was on Consulate. So if you really want to double down on the French being your kryptonite, why not just take them to the exact same map and see if you can double down on the bad luck? I mean, this is the map to do it on, sure.
It was a choice between that and Coastline as well. So I think in that situation, I think they kind of made the right choice, but I don't really know because I think Coastline would have been pulled away from them a bit further. Trainhard, they're a team that can be aggressive on many different fronts. They're a team that is so good when they can sort of light up with this like quite electric playstyle, and Coastline I think would have offered more to it. Yeah, let's have a look.
I mean, they've already beaten BDS on Coastline.
Yeah,
so BDS was like, not again, please. We'll try our luck again on Consulate. I mean, going to both of those maps, Kryptonite maps against French teams. Literally, Coastline, Consulate, they had no other choice. Good map ban.
You just never know.
Trainhard won the map ban. I just don't think they'll win the match.
You just got to do the tough bit, which is win the match.
Yeah.
Actually doing it in the server itself. Well, Jess M, thank you so very much. It is time for us to kick off our game then. And it's our second match of the day. Trainhard and BDS, they're going to be banking off on a French consulate. Who would have thought that that would be the case for this one? We'll toss it then to our casters. It is Ace and Des. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Game number 2 of the day, a French showdown. BDS coming up against a number of players, Ace, that over time they said, oh, you know, Shoko took me under his wing, he's helped coach me. There's a real good French community in Siege. But here, I think you're looking at the teacher versus the student, a student that has still got a lot to learn. And of course, Trainhard are having some difficulties at the moment. Unfortunate for the players, but that doesn't change the fact that the league presses on and BDS have looked terrifying on this map historically.
They have. To be fair, Des, BDS look terrifying on a lot of maps.
Yeah.
You know.
You could just say BDS look terrifying and stop there.
Just going up against BDS is always going to be tough. You know, especially Trainhard, a mixed bag of results. I'd say better performances than stage 1. Absolutely. We've seen some growth there. We've seen improvement. And hopefully that is something that we will continue to see and they can bring today against BDS. Now, the first ban comes in on console. It's going to be Thatcher. That's going to be Trainhard taking away the first attack. The second from BDS will be Nomad. So no major surprises. So Consulate and Nomad ban. Basically, there's a lot of windows and doors that you can throw yourself out of on this map. And by banning out the Nomad, you leave that as a bit of an option.
I think here for BDS, they really struggled against Vitality to break open yellow stairs because you see Rise basically dug in there. They'd had themselves set up with the Jaeger ADSs, for example. So the Wamai ban coming through from me just says we do not want to see Trainhard double down and really capitalise on our weakness in taking yellow, because in the 3 rounds they attacked yellow against Vitality, not a single round did they manage to properly unseat Rise, not without losing members or absolutely tons of resources trying to clear it out in the first place. Maestro going to be the final one taken away, and that is going to be at Operator Bans. We start inside of the basement in Cafeteria and Garage. Ace, seeing the Aruni coming out alongside the Valkyrie. Normally a ban that we see on this map, but clearly there was some prioritization going towards the Maestro instead of the Valk.
Yeah, the Valk picked 6th picked away to the Melusi for Trainhard. Now, it's always a fascinating one when, you know, I've already spoken about that Nomad ban, but when we don't have the Valkyrie ban, usually you will get them as like a tandem ban, if you will. Both of them will come in, Nomad and Valkyrie. And if you're wondering why that is, it's because of the lethality of Valkyrie potentially on this map. With the entire map is a rectangle, so with 2 cameras, 1 at each corner, you can basically see the entire exterior. Added on to that, if you look at the wonderfully beautiful gardens that surround this map, Des, you can imagine how many posts, trees, branches, all sorts of sort of street furniture, natural furniture there is for those Valkyrie Black Eye cameras to land on. They're very difficult to find, and so when Valkyrie is available, it's feeding potentially a lot of information into the defenders. If Nomad isn't on the board to stop those jump outs are then well informed as well, and it can be an absolute nightmare. Now, Trainhard this time signalling that's maybe not going to be the case. Jump out's not too common on a garage attack, so fair enough. We'll see if we get a little bit more as the defences go on.
No even real attempt there to worry about the wall being denied away. They leave the laser gate up and say, well, look, this wall is getting open. And that's what a lot of teams do accept on this map is, look, if a team wants that garage door opened up, they're getting it opened up. You can waste a bit of time with things like Kaid, for example, to be able to keep the door closed for a bit longer. But chances are a well-placed nade or two, or from what G2 did in stage 1, a smoke grenade leading into a Twitch drone, those things work just as fine as well. But for the side of BDS, 60 seconds in, both of these walls will be opened up. Playday doing his job. And when I say doing his job, it's worth touching on him a little bit further. He's currently the top-rated, top KD player player that we have in total, plus 14 years on KD, in the whole competition. It's like when he joined them at the start of last stage, and in the first 5 matches was like a 2.04 rating. The man's absolutely phenomenal, and he started this stage in exactly the same form.
Shaco just pushing his luck there, regressing into sight a little bit. Out goes a nade to potentially deal with anybody at pipes. I don't think they're aware.
What are they doing?
Breeday's getting the diffuser down. They're not. 5 versus 5 still. Shaco downs Noera back in cafeteria. It's actually going to be Rafal who finds the first kill onto Durza on the mid floor, and we've got kills trading in either direction here, Des, but it's not really going to matter. Whilst that diffuser is down on the ground, BDS have had an absolute age to get themselves out of the breach wall and to set themselves up for this post plant here. It's 3 versus 2 as Noera finds one, 2 versus 2, but time is ticking away. 10 seconds here for Trainhard to do something, do anything. That's exactly what they try. Voy gets one, Shaiko left. He goes to protect the diffuser.
Oh, he's got it!
He's got time! Unbelievable plays from Trainhard as Voy is able to close out the round now. What about that, Des?
I was baffled because when the plant was going down, you saw the player on yellow. He had the full view. We could see on our screen all the outlines of the Trainhard members. Not a single one stood above any vertical holes on the entry. You had 2 players inside a cafeteria. The other 3, they were in Narnia. They were off in the front lobby, just stood there, and I was like, what's going on? Like, is no one here to stop this? And it got planted at like the 140 mark in a 5 versus 5. I had no idea what was going on, but to fight back with that level of ferocity, win a retake on arguably the hardest site to retake in the whole game. Not something I expected Trainhard to do against BDS on round 1 of Consulate.
Well, this is it. We've got to ask questions of that BDS post plan. You know, they've got 5 players alive when the diffuser is activated. So at that point, they have the option to cover as many angles as they will ever be able to cover in a post plant. They can get somebody out long range on the ramp, they can cover yellow door, you know, they should have everything in their advantage there. But Trainhard, they managed to fight against it. You know, let's not take away from Trainhard here. That was absolutely fantastic, particularly that final kill from Voy onto Shaiko at the yellow door, just showing some great team comms there. The call has come out quickly. I've been downed on yellow door. That's where he's pushing you from. Voy hits the pre-fire practically, takes him down and leaves himself enough time. Cool as a cucumber under pressure.
The last thing we need, I think, is another game that sends Twitter off the rails on Consulate after the game in NA yesterday. So I'm hoping that's as crazy as this one gets, because not a round I ever had down as seeing to kick things off. However, let's see if round 2 goes any better up on the top floor. Attacking lineup, not really any different. I think in both rounds here, we've seen BDS employing...
Oh, sit down.
I was going to say employing just 1 hard breach on the side here. Even with only, well, with none of them banned away, you maybe expect to see 2 in some instances, just for the doorway and the downstairs. On the upstairs, sometimes you want something like an ace, or you want an Abana, but not the focus for the side of BDS right now. Bringing down Ranchero, taking the Zofia out before any utility has been committed will make life a little bit harder, but given there's still 4 frags on side and a bunch of flashes, you're not going to be too worried about Noera on the Jaeger at the moment.
Alrighty, let's go. Trainhard getting themselves into round 2 immediately.
This is the only safe prediction I think I had today.
The only safe prediction. There are no safe predictions, Des. You should know that by now, especially when it comes to EUL. There's a long way to go for Trainhard yet, but that is still a great start to round 2 nonetheless. As we say, attacking up onto top floor. Durza, he's just going to work his way up those spiral stairs on the defence potentially, just looking at the skylight there, just rearranging, just moving around. Team BDS yet to get themselves properly established here. It looks like Playday is inside of admin at the minute. Shaiko at the bottom of Visa stairs though. Not sure that Blaz is aware of his location, or Shaiko of Blaz's potentially. There's no really aggression towards each other, although maybe Shaiko just picks up a noise or 2. Maybe Blaz does too, but Shaiko's going to dip away, heads up towards meeting now. There's a man on the close angle who shuts him down, Chaoxis with the SMG. He's going for 2 days. He fancies afters and he gets himself some. 5 versus 2.
I thought he was going to find a third there and make it a full 3-course meal, but couldn't unfortunately bring down Playday, who tries to restore some sense of normalcy into the round. You're losing it, buddy, already, I can see.
It's because I realised I just shouted afters and nobody will know what that means, so thank you for clarifying that I meant dessert.
Is that what you call them up north?
Yeah.
Afters?
Yeah.
Oh, what's for afters? I could never imagine that being a statement. I thought you meant like an after course or leftovers or something, not quite dessert, but what's it?
Back on topic Epic Des. 40 seconds left to go. We've got Playday. He's pushing down the long desk. He manages to find the man on spiral stairs. That's going to bring us to effectively a 4 versus 3 as Blaz goes down. But BDS, with 25 seconds left to go, they've got a lot of work ahead of them here. Out goes the flashbang, maybe just to create a little bit of a distraction, clear out a bit of a utility. But as you say, this clock is ticking down, Des, and it's going to wait for no man. There's the pre-placed Nitro. So casual from Durza. Goes in for the resource and just hits the explosives before he gets there. Rafal finds nowhere. A 3 versus 1. Time is ticking away. This ain't going to happen. The diffuser's down. He's just doing what he can for his stats here. It's going to be another round for Trainhard, and this time it's on the clock.
I just like walks to a guy bleeding out on the ground like, wait a minute. Now I can get you up after the guy's been blown up by a C4. Casual as anything, as you say. Trainhard 2-0. Not something I expected to be saying at the start of this game, whether they were on attack or on defense, but that is the way it is transpiring. Now, for BDS, there are questions to be asking here about how things are playing out for them. Shaiko, for most of this stage, and a wager quite a bit of the last one as well, we saw him at SI, picking up the Iana quite a little bit and often pushing solo by himself. I'll never forget him discovering Iana, it felt, for the first time on Oregon and pushing into basement, nading 2 people and going, wow, I haven't got to shoot people to kill them. I can throw grenades and they die. He's been employing it a lot more since then, and he was doing this solo push that we've seen a few teams employ in the past. In fact, it was Trainhard, and I think it was Voy in particular, that used to use the Iana on maps like Oregon to bait one side of the map and then pull out the crazy play that we saw against G2 with the Amaru play inside of Kids. So kind of funny seeing it now working in reverse, but just not as well for Shaiko as maybe they would like.
Interestingly, when you mention Iana, Des, I was having a little look at some stats earlier, as you can imagine that I might. No, a big surprise. I was deep in my spreadsheet. Iana is actually currently our top picked operator. If we're looking at a percentage pick rate when available, which is what I like to look at, so when the players have the option to click Iana, i.e. she's not banned out, how often do they do so? And she is the highest pick rate attacker at the minute. Now, she's also, as an operator, got a KPR of over 1, so definitely pulling away.
Playing her though, right?
It certainly
Citizen,
does. You're getting your big gunners coming in playing her. And it has been an almost direct replacement for Ash. Ash was the top rated in stage 1. She was the top most picked. And she's now way down the chart. She doesn't even make the top 10, doesn't Ash, at the minute, I don't think. So it really does show a big shift towards Iana, and also a pretty good win rate for when she's in the composition as well. Pretty high up in the stakes of the attackers.
I know I picked him up an awful lot for this, but Infian Ewok, it's probably his 4th broadcast in a row getting my shout out. He actually went around the world and looked at all the old Ash mains around the world and said, okay, what are they playing now? Many have moved over to Zofia, but Iana was up there, Flores was up there, for example. Some have completely changed roles, so I guess you can kind of discount them a little bit for now. But there is definitely a big shift away from her, as you say. BDS have got themselves now positioned on the west side of the map, looking to get themselves a push coming in. And again, you always see the challenge around the benches here to try and stop a flanker pushing around. In this case, it was Blaz who's going to snake his way onto the downstairs, which gives a slight consideration to the side of BDS of, can we afford to leave this guy to play Disruptor later into the round, or do we need to go and look for him now? It forces those kind of decisions, and they choose to hunt him down. Blaz taken out by Shaiko. A second onto Chaos a couple of seconds later. This is the kind of round start that BDS have been looking for.
It is, and this is the real question that's going to be asked of Trainhard now. How do they come out and perform once they're on the back foot? Are they able to turn the difficult rounds out as well as the ones where they have the advantage? Halfway through the round, we are of course attacking the mid floor, but BDS still looking to contest and take over that top floor. Now, Void does have the black eye cams outside, like we discussed. Manages to hit a wonderful Nitro. Second Nitro kill inside 2 rounds for Trainhard. That levels things up 3-3. We can see Chaoxis, Blaz, look at him, Des, flicking on and off those default cams, black eye cams, just feeding information back in to the monster that is Trainhard right now.
That's a killer, because don't forget as well, BDS were 2-0 up at the start of this round on kills. Now they're going to make themselves, or at least get themselves, to a 3 versus 2 after Trainhard have found a couple back. So it's still close here. LM's trying to take another gunfight, not quite coming out the winner, but not exactly the loser either. You've got them all starting to square up around yellow. Durza backing his way out towards Visa, or at least holding out towards Meeting. Let's not forget, of course, that we are pushing on to the first floor site here. Oh, Void, that's unlucky timing. Looks away to Knife the Vars, has LM swing on him, and down he will go. Durza coming up where we saw Blaz earlier on. It's where the hunt started for BDS. Off to his left, he doesn't know there's a man there. Easy shutdown for Rafal, and BDS will find their first round.
Better from BDS, managing to get the round. So it got themselves a really good advantage to begin with those 2 opening kills. Shaiko able this time to get the entry, whereas previously in round 2 it was Voy. But we're heading into round 4. We are 2-1. Trainhard at the advantage at the minute. If they can get themselves another one here, Des, on the defence, I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Going in as a 3-3 split on the half and looking towards the second half of attack, that might not be the end of the world for them, but I'm sure there's going to be more in their sights at the minute. We're going to be heading back down to Garage and Cafeteria. Now, we saw this in round 1. BDS were able to get the diffuser down and active with 5 men still alive in rapid time, but they were unable to defend it. Trainhard managed to turn it over. Now, I dare say, Des, that they won't get away with that a second time.
No.
They need to be very careful this time that they don't allow that diffuser to go down in the same way. They need to think about their game plan and just exactly how they're going to prevent access, particularly because BDS were in there so quickly and they had the control they needed. So I'd like to see maybe a little bit of piano presence from Trainhard here. Try and hold on to that, even if it's playing in console office up above it. Use the vertical angles and just try and deny that access to piano for as long as possible.
That's the thing, they did that last round, but at the time the plank came through, they had a couple of players running off in towards Anti, and I was like, what? Why are they in Anti? You know there's likely going to be a plank coming through once you've got that wall opened up. I don't know if they assume BDS were going to rotate off elsewhere and try and clear out the roamers first, but hey, they were mistaken. So I agree with you this time around. A bit more aggression on the defense will probably pay them absolute dividends. You don't have the Maestro to go for the deny, let's not forget as well, because Trainhard themselves banned that away. So you need to be a little bit more aggressive in your holding, shall we say. BDS is going to be start on out towards the west, same as in the previous round, and you're going to see the same stuff as always. Breda getting the 2 walls opened up, everyone else looking to take control of Yellow Stairs and Piano, and then thinking about when does an execute come through. Very
similar so far. Breda's got the wall open quickly. Shaiko's poised to push in from Yellow Stairs. There's nobody really to fight against him. Look at all those deployable shields.
They're just so far back again, like one near Spiral, one playing down towards
It's like
blue.
they've already been forced back. You'd usually see this position from defenders when pressure has been applied to, say, the back of White Van. When pressure's been applied to pipes, you'd have them forced back into these positions, but it seems to be the stock standard start for Trainhard.
It's just, I don't know, like... BDS are doing the clearance. They've got rid of the bulletproof, for example.
There's one at pipes now. The Goyo's moved down to pipes.
I was going to say, that shield was
forward.
there, so the plan was to have someone play there, but he can fall back into security quite safely if the pressure gets a little bit too hot, which is what he'll do. But a couple of grenades can pressure this away. Didn't quite catch the shield out there, so it will stay intact. But you've got 3 of them hanging out towards Red and Cafeteria here. That's quite a stretch back. Unless they're hoping to burst forward when a plank comes down behind the White Van, I'm really curious to see what the defensive game plan is here when it starts to get set up. But look at the lems above, just making sure no one can rotate into Piano. They're looking to deny what almost caught them out in the previous round.
Certainly going better for Trainhard than it did back in the first round so far. Voy, he's looking to make his way upstairs here, Des. I think he knows that Elems is active above now. There was a drone there. I'm not sure if it's going to pick him up on the flank or not, but Elems, he keeps going about his business down in Piano, but he needs to be very aware that there is the potential for a challenge coming in on him soon. We've got 1 minute left to go, so if Voy is going to make a move, it needs to be now. Now, Rafal's missed him, Des. Voy's moved down the spiral stairs. Blaz finds Shaiko pushing in from Yellow Door, I imagine, still. And Elems could get caught out here. I think he thinks that he's got Rafal covering his angle from Yellow Stairs. Voy, he's creeping his way. He's taking his time. Is he going to find his man? Yes, he is. He takes his time and gets his just rewards. But Rafal, he's able to dip down the stairs and find the trade. 3 versus 3, but with 30 seconds left to go, there's a lot of work for BDS.
Yeah, Trainhard are playing a lot more closer now. You've got Blaz who's playing not just in front of the shield, but actually on towards Yellow itself. The king of Yellow in Shaiko has been removed. That is always his go-to attack angle, as you mentioned earlier on. And now Renshiro is starting to burn on the Zofia. Normally see Elems playing on that kind of role, looking to burn through these laser gates. This is where the plan execute should come through. But Blaz is holding close. Durza finds one. Rafal with the skeleton key finds one up close, but they've got 2 more to kill. They see the legs. He couldn't quite see over it by the looks of it. No air is down. Durza left alone. No smokes left. Renshiro and Rafal will clean things up. And it looked a little bit dicey in the mid-round, but they do get it over the finish line.
I think Trainhard are going to wonder how they've lost that one. They seem to have all the chips with 15 seconds left to go, but BDS able to turn it around with a late push coming in from Renshiro and Rafal. Now, Renshiro... Well, more Rafal I'm thinking about on the book. He did a lot of work in that round. So, initially... he's let Voy go. He's missed him there. He's watching that angle. Voy's managed to creep around him, get himself down to Piano, finds himself a great kill onto Alems, but Rafal, quick reaction, straight down those yellow stairs, gets the trade, then continues Alems's work, uses that skeleton key to open up that floor further, and he's moving the defenders around all of the time. What that does, it forces Blaz up onto yellow stairs. He has to take an aggressive line to defend that angle so that he can potentially challenge onto a plant should it go down. Skeleton key comes around the corner. It unlocks the door, Des. He takes Blaz down, and it is again Rafal just going in and dismantling things piece by piece. Honestly, I'll keep shouting him out. He's had a great couple of games as Rafal this stage.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the team, and speaking about BDS, again, it's always been the likes of Shaiko that will shout out. Maybe Alems does well, or Renshiro has been kind of the hero the last 18 months, I'd wager, for the team. Rafal's always the one that sort of falls to the bottom of those conversations. You know, Playday, again, with the big entry that he had at the start of last stage. This stage, top rated yet again, doing an absolute work for them. When they fall quiet, you still know that there's a scary backline in Rafal waiting to step up and make things happen where he needs to. And I think maybe he's even welcoming here not having to play something like the Maverick and get onto the second Heart Breach. He's getting to play that book, be a little bit more active in the rounds. And hey, so far it's doing good work for them. 6 kills for himself. Over on the other side is Voy, who's currently been doing a lot of God's work, especially in round number 1 with the 2K to pull off that incredible retake that surely is going to be a round that I'm going to be watching back over at the end of this broadcast. Heading into round number 5, though, let's see how things shape up. It is going to be another defense of the downstairs. Trainhard clearly convinced that there is work left incomplete on the downstairs, and they know what they can do to course correct.
Well, they weren't a million miles away, to be fair. If you're coming into the last 10-15 seconds, level on man count, and with BDS struggling to put the diffuser down, it's coming down to those last few kills. I can completely understand why Trainhard have felt here, that there's more that they can do, and got Voy just applying the electro claws there. One up into the ceiling, which gets the 2 panels to the right-hand side of the garage door, and then one just underneath that metal box. As long as you use that metal box in some way, you just protect it from that vertical angle coming down from Piano. It just makes it that little bit more difficult to clear away.
There is a better one. There's like a, I'm not saying necessarily no better than these guys, but there's like a metal...
Come on, Des, get yourself in. You need to be
very
in the
happily,
server.
mate, very happily. To the left of it, there's like a metal kind of box that's on wheels, and you can get the electro claw underneath that box. Ooh. The problem with the above one there is that you can get a kind of side angle onto it and shoot it out. That's always going to be the challenge. Alem's almost getting C4'd out, and a challenge of his own. I think it was Blaz lurking around looking to cause a little bit of trouble there, but finds nothing for his trouble.
Alems, I think, just heard the potential rip of the C4 there and just makes his move to get himself back onto the safety of some hard ground at the top of Spiral Stairs. And Blaz, he decides that's enough at that point and gets himself back down. Now, a little bit of pressure coming from this rear side. They do spot out the defenders over there, so I don't think we're going to see too much. Nuera does get seen on the drones, and I think that will probably be BDS just relocating. We see Rafal move his way towards main door. He's probably going to look to push into Piano. He's going to be supported by Alems from above once again. So similar practices coming out from BDS here, looking to get that Piano control, clear out the electric claws, open the doors. But the thing is, it's taken a little bit longer this time, Des.
It has. I don't think they'll complain too much because it's about the clearance. And in the previous round, it was dealing with things like the bulletproof, which the Gon 6 from Shaiko came into use for, removed it from the back wall right next to the white van. Outside of that, it was the vertical play, as you say, just a small slip up on communication as to what angles were being watched, I think. We saw how that worked out for poor Alems in the previous round. Chaoxis this time round, I think, wants to make sure that there's definitely high enough like head height holes in that wall. Nuera lost the last gunfight because his legs could be seen, but his head couldn't see through to where the man assaulting up past white van could see him, and lost out in the gunfight as a result. So it's the small things here. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but positioning of electro claws, head height angles, for example, for punch holes, they make a whole difference.
Shaco's there and ready to push in from the yellow stairs door once again. Alems continuing his renovation work upstairs, and this time has not been disrupted by any roamers. Durza holding a long angle onto those stairs. Needs to be careful though. The SMG at long range is going to be a tough fight for him to take. Blaz takes a few shots at the drone, will miss. Sure, he'll reload and take that out now, but his position will be known to BDS. 15 seconds left to go. Playday goes in with an attempt to get the diffuser down. Shaiko steps out to try and defend him from Blaz. He finds one onto Chaoxys, but Blaz, he has an absolute freebie onto the planter, but not before the diffuser is successfully activated. This cover above, it's not going to be easy. Alem's the eye in the sky, finds the kill. Shot on to Blaz. Voy, once again, we've seen him on the retake do big things here. Des, can he do it again? Finds one onto Renshiro. 20 seconds left to go, and it's looking like a big ask this time around for Trainhard as the time continues to tick by. The kills rain in, the bodies fall. Lems finds another, and this does not happen with a man above. It's Shaiko ultimately from the yellow stairs, and BDS this time show us that they are more than capable of defending a garage plant on Consulate.
Too many angles being held there, I think. You had the one on yellow door, you had the one from above, one holding a little bit further back. Just very restrictive, and I think for BDS, almost correcting the things that looked potentially wrong on their last attack of the site, where they didn't quite have the full vertical control. As we know, Lems was shut down. This time around, he is appropriately covered, can do the work from above. He gets a double kill in that post plant. That's everything you want to see, and why the vertical angle inside a piano is so powerful. For defenders who want to hold it, you stop the man running in with the plant and getting it down. When you're on the attack, assuming you can force the defenders away, that's a great spot for you to be able to cover it in a post plant. And BDS looking much more on form now. Those first two rounds that went completely against them, seemingly a distant memory.
Heading up to the top floor then, Chaoxys just opening up some rotations and little peaks and lines of sight. If you're wondering what they are for, the first one that he opened up was in the console cubby, the little space off to the side of the site. Now, you can't actually plant in there, interestingly. You do need to be sort of to the south side of those two pillars, but the rotation hole he's opened up there allows a challenge to come in from yellow stairs. So if you've got somebody on that default spot behind the desk trying to get the diffuser down, you can challenge it from the yellow stairs. He's also opened up vertical lines of sight as well, so if they've got somebody down in piano, nitro in hand potentially, or even if not, they can use those vertical holes that have been prepared there to challenge up vertically onto that default plant spot.
Absolutely, and I was speaking earlier on about the second hard breach coming out for BDS that they didn't have on side. They had the Buck and the Sledge in tandem. Here you've now got the Habana coming along for a foul, so he's off Buck duty, he's back onto the hard breach. For this site, I think you really want it, because if they're looking, for example, at pushing up yellow, you're not really going to be able to get a thermite more often than not in a spot where you can open that wall up comfortably. Chances are you get shot from the long angle looking out towards the long desk. Alternatively, you can push in from copy, and Rafal can look to open from, again, safety at range, look to open up the meeting wall and force the player inside of there, normally someone with a shotgun, to feel a little bit more uncomfortable. You can't sit in that back corner anymore and threaten onto the yellow doorway or onto the meeting window. So there are options available to BDS here. At least where Rafal's starting off, it's going to be this safe opening coming through onto the single wall that cuts straight through into the B site. An interesting adaptation to note, by the way, both of these bathroom walls have been hard reinforced, making it a lot safer for Rafal.
What that's going to do from Rafal is it's going to force the defenders, anybody who was thinking about playing inside a console, everybody's going to have to get back into meeting and beyond, because what he's going to do is sit on that rappel, he's going to use those lines of sight that he's just opened up, and it's going to allow him a view nice and clean all the way through to connector. So yellow stairs is now the point of contention for BDS. They need to clear the man out of there, because once he's gone, they can think about pushing into console office to get this diffuser down. Noera, for the time being, is holding fast. He's well aware that he's one of the remaining things that stops BDS being able to push in for a plant. Durza finds the kill onto Alems from the basement, interestingly, pushing onto those yellow stairs. Now, Shaco doesn't really react to that. He does as I say it, cast the curse, sorry, Durza. Shaco wheels 180 and takes the head off of him and leaves us 4 versus 3 now. Blaz, he tries the... Well, I think Chris and the Latam Nitro, it goes out through the hatch onto yellow stairs. It was the first place that I saw it happen, 2 versus 2, as Renshiro finds a kill. 55 seconds left to go, and this one's still up in the air.
It is, yeah. Breeder on the window needs to make something happen, but more importantly, he needs Renshiro to get a strong position for them. You've got Voy downstairs with the C4 still on side, a pre-play C4 coming out, just in case he tries to go for a deeper push, which you might assume he'll do. He'll try and plant up against the connector wall rather than trying to plant shallow, but time will tell. 30 seconds to play with Renshiro denied away from yellow yet again, and Breeday's thinking, okay, what angles can I get here? When does this push-in begin? He's got no smokes on side because he's got the flashes here as he's set up, so it's going to be a little bit dicey, so much so that he opts to drop away from the window entirely and go for a push up yellow instead. So maybe that's going to be the point they try and push for, or they're just aware of the fact that there was a pre-play C4. Now removed, Renshiro shoots the cam, almost gets shot at himself, down to about half HP, and now or never, Breeday, let's go for it. Looks towards the challenge, no one there is going to plant shallow, removing that pre-play C4 3-4 could be absolutely everything. Chaoxis up and close, tries to go for the challenge, wins it here, sees Playday, loses out Playday. No! Playday wins the double in the close, and Trainhard, what a slip up in the dying seconds that could have made this a 3-3.
Renshiro just causing enough delay there, Des. He made the challenge from bathroom, he lost it, but the fact that the challenge needed to be made just delayed that fraction of a second enough for Playday to get himself off the diffuser, and what unbelievable reactions coming out of him. I'd love to know how much he knew about that first kill. I think that's one of those where you come out and you just mash mouse one and see what happens, and he's got away with one, but then he wheels around, he knows the challenge is coming in from the double door and finds the kill onto the Valkyrie. Unbelievable from Playday. That's one of your top 5 of the week right there.
Not so much down to just the kills either, but the final 30 seconds of play, saying, right, 30 seconds left, I'm dropping off window, I'm going into piano, I'm shooting out the pre-play C4, I'm going up yellow, I'm rotating across in front of front desk, I'm getting the plant down on the connector wall. The decision making in those final 30 seconds, and yes, Renshiro had an impact in that, but the final 30 seconds there for Playday, flawless, sublime, every step of the way. Loved seeing it, and again, we could be sat at 3-3. The one question I will ask is why for Chaoxis was he getting a knife out? Why was he trying to knife? You've got an SMG, just spray him, dude. Goes for the knife, gets shot in the face, and then the spin round for the 1v1. That's going to be an engagement on his side. I think that's going to haunt him for a while, because the guy's at point blank range. You can't miss with the SMG ace. Well, here's a throwback. Wow. Don't know if you've seen this too much. We saw it on Coastline a lot in EU for a while, actually, when you were defending hookah and billiards. Looking across billiards, you stick the little, like, indent inside the connector wall, the wall that sits between the two sites. Oh, you're joking. Blaz. Onto Shaiko to kick things off as well. Sure, it's really not the end of the world, but still painful to lose in the first 15 seconds. And look at this. Durza, now that they found that one kill, this could be their invitation. He could cause so much untold damage because this wall is double reinforced.
That's it. He can get himself in there for free and start making very, very quick challenges. That's exactly what he's going to do. Durza goes in, established in the bathroom.
Grenades.
He can start locking down angles immediately now. Takes utility as well. Blaz, he's all the way in connector. He is shut down by Rafal. That's an important kill there. BDS fighting back. We're only a minute in here. Unbelievable. The Argus cam there, just able to take out utility itself. But once again, Des, we picked him out earlier. I'm going to pick him out again. Rafal with a double when BDS desperately needed it. Renshiro piles on the pressure. 4 versus 2 now, and we've still got 1 minute 50 to go.
Really good intent coming out of Trainhard. You know, you heard as the Amory repelled in, or whatever you want to call it, I guess not really a repel, it's a Gara hook in this case, that you just heard flashbangs going off everywhere, and they were really looking to capitalize on chaos against BDS. But when Rafal hits 2 big shots like that and Trainhard pause for even 5 seconds, you see the exact outcome. They just find the kills they need. They shut down the attack entirely, and now Trainhard are going to have a good think. They've got 90 seconds to make this 2 versus 4 work. Oh. That's a wonderful shot from Void to find Renshiro at the bottom of yellow, recovering the diffuser. We've just seen Playday pull off an absolutely miraculous play in this exact position, only they've now got more time.
Honestly, the skill these two are bringing into this game, the shots that are being landed just keeps getting better and better. It's an absolute joy at the minute now. Voy, he's going to look to move in. He's going to move himself away. I thought he was going to push in through the round desk, maybe head up spiral, see what he could do from long desk, but no, he's going to just rotate himself around and move instead onto the admin and Visa side. It looks like the repel will come in and he'll head in through admin. Durza instead is around at the spiral side. Probably join him through copy potentially. Does have that option. I'm not sure if he's just going to repel on the spiral and see if he can pick up anybody on a late rotate, maybe get a cheap kill. Nope, uses the Gara hook, in he goes through copy. They're aware, Des, they know that he's there. Breeder's just going to hold this angle all day long, gets the kill, easy as that. 1 versus 3, Voy's got it all to do now, pushing in through admin, they know where he is. The challenge comes out through the soft wall from Voy, but there's very little he can do here. He needs to find kills, but he's up against it. Toxic gas, bullets, everything. He finds one at the top of the meeting stairs. Switches to pistol, 8 seconds left to go, needs to find himself 2 kills, walks into Playday, finds the kill, it's 1v1, 3 seconds if he finds this, it's over, no! He just doesn't seem to react to Rafal's presence, Des!
There's a line we can scream here about, why are you sprinting? But we won't go too deep into it. That was one of those where with the clock being so low, you're forced to make a play. And if you're not sure where your man is, you've just got to go for it. And I did want to commend BDS, and then the thing I was going to commend them for kind of fell apart on the challenge onto the second man on the copy door. I was going to say Playday, yes, on the vending machines, took the swing, and at the exact same time, the player on Visa Stairs swung at the exact same moment to make sure it was a guaranteed 2v1, and you're praying for a trade in that case, that there's no freaky cross flick to bring down two members of BDS. The second time round, it's a little bit messier. There's a 1v1 from the Visa Stairs. Then the man with the shotgun to the right-hand side swings round and goes completely wide, assuming he's behind the wall, for example. Fairly so. It was a logical assumption, and things almost fell apart from there. But for BDS, they've kept that one alive. Playday in the previous, not 2 rounds ago, sorry. The previous round just then a second ago. That's 2 rounds of BDS that could have gone the way of Trainhard, and would be sat right now looking at a 4-3 to Trainhard if that was the outcome. The scoreline doesn't reflect it, but this has been one hell of a close game.
It has. Trainhard have come out with a good performance here. They are testing BDS round to round, but as you say, those questions that are being asked right now, BDS, they've got all the answers and they're able to get them over the line, and that is the mark of a quality team. When you're being pushed to the edge, can you survive? Can you still get the points on the board? And BDS are doing exactly that right now. It was a little bit of a close one last time around. I'm sure they won't like it that close in future. 2 men losing their lives in a 1 versus 3 is not ideal. And Voy just unable to close it out at the last minute. So difficult for him pushing into the unknown. Doesn't know where the last man is. Doesn't know where he's going to need to take that challenge and is closed down. But well played nonetheless. Now then, Renshiro, he's going to apply that electrical once again, but he's up against a Maverick this time. Durza bringing along the breaching torch, so he's not going to mind that electricity too much at all. He's just going to burn these panels off and they'll get it opened up. But Ilems, he manages to find Chaoxis. That's 0 gone. That's a lot of information utility lost as well, and that is a good start to round 8 for BDS.
Cheeky. It was Shocker getting caught out in the previous round, so a little bit of balance coming back into things here with the same being dealt onto Trainhard. I was wondering how much of the wall we were going to see the Maverick open up as well, because for Durza, I thought he was going hard on that wall, and in fact, he still is. I don't know if he's done the whole way across. No, it's just 2 panels. Okay, so they do want to make sure they've got a good wide berth to go for the push in here, where you haven't got a thermite, for example, and said, look, forget about the wall and fighting above for the electrification. We just want to deal with it with one hard breacher, and in this case, it is that Maverick. With it now made soft, it can get blown out likely by Voy in this case, unless they can get Blaz nice and close. They get a lovely big hole to start thinking about pushing through, and then the round plays out as normal from there.
Blaz on the drones, just feeding information in. The majority of Trainhard right now using the drones and just trying to get some sort of lay of the land, find out exactly where and how BDS are planning to hold this one down. Now Voy is on the upside down rappel above the garage door, but thinks better of it, moves himself away. He's looking to take out more utility inside of sight. 5 versus 4, 1 minute 13 left to go, and Trainhard, they've got what they need in terms of the immediate site. They've got the breach open. They've got access to the plant spot. They've got control of Piano up above. Blaz is up there on the sledge opening things up. So it's all down to them really to dictate the pace of this round. Shaco gets aggressive, nearly loses his life, but somehow finds the kill. Hits the headshot onto Blaz. You're absolutely right, Des. He's got to lose his life there.
Unlucky, I suppose, in a way, but then also for Blaz, they're the kind of shots that you need to be winning. For BDS, you can see the difference in them than Trainhard earlier on, where they've got 2 players playing quite aggressively inside of the garage itself. As Renshiro loses out to Noera. Great shot, but can't see the second man lay down through the smoke, unfortunately. Voy trying to go for a push in, finds one, but doesn't know about the second man inside of security. They can recover the diffuser all they like, but BDS with a massive numbers advantage will take round number 8 and move up to match point.
6-2 it stands now as BDS. They had a bit of a slippery start to this one, losing the first couple of rounds, and we thought that Trainhard were going to turn up and make a real game of it, but the last 6 have all gone in the direction of BDS. They just needed that first couple of rounds to warm up, I think, Des. They weren't quite aware they were in a match at that point, but they certainly are now, as are Trainhard, probably feeling a little bit beaten up and a little bit hard done to at the minute, I think it's fair to say. Trainhard have had some good passages of play, and I think it'd be fair to say they maybe deserve another round or 2 on the board.
Yeah, I mean, look back at last week for Trainhard when they came up against Na'Vi, admittedly off the back of some, not so ideal news with the organisation. However, this week they've come in, for me at least, and putting on a show to be really proud of. And I think if nothing else, I mentioned earlier on it could have been 4 versus 3. Look back at the 4-2-3. Look back at the first 2 rounds of the game as well, when they played their absolute hearts out there. That retake, again, I'm probably most infamously, the hardest site to retake in the game was something absolutely sublime. And if nothing else goes to show that you need to be believing in these boys. And for Blaz, I think I spoke about it coming into the game against Na'Vi. After 2 games, he was on 35 kills. 18 kills in week 2, 17 in week 1. He only got 4 kills last week. And this week 2, unfortunately, is another quiet one for him. But where he stepped down a little bit, Voya's stepped up and is making sure they're being represented. But sadly, the scoreline again is all that anyone will remember about this game.
That's a nice Valkyrie cam from Shaiko there. One you can probably take away and use in your own games, I would suggest. I'll be giving it a whirl myself. I think he's just left a little part of the front of that desk intact, so it hides the cam. He's got the viewpoint out of it. Now then, we've got a very quick south-sided rush coming in here. That's not good, as the diffuser is down on the ground. Voy is in though, kills in either direction, with Shaiko being traded out after getting the first. Voy will pressure Rafal and will wipe him off the board as he manages to get that kill inside of the bathroom. Renshiro, he's still up above and will need dislodging realistically if Trainhard are going to win this, but Voy, he's got a very nasty angle out onto yellow stairs now. Big play from Renshiro. What did I just say? He needed dislodging.
They knew he was there as well because they heard him hit the connector window just a few seconds prior, so unfortunate that no one was unable to watch the angle. Voy inside a bathroom almost finds the man in Lems pushing down onto yellow stairs. He'll back away with about 20 HP to his name. Renshiro also looking dangerously low right now. I was going to say Trainhard have had control of this room for a while, but no plant going down. Finally, it starts to get stuck, and Blaz, the vertical angle's there. Unfortunately, can't stop a Lems, who, as we saw, backed away up yellow stairs, finds the vertical, as does Renshiro. It's 3 versus 1 for BDS, and we all know how these rounds then tend to close out. It's going to be a complete and utter closeout. 3 rounds from above. BDS take it 7-2, but I think it's important we don't forget just how well and how surprising Trainhard were today.
Particularly in the early game, Des, it did slip away from them a little bit towards the end there. What I liked from Trainhard was we saw something different out of them today. They were willing to try. They were willing to roll the dice and see what happened. We saw it in that last round there. You know what? Yep, let's try those piano windows, see if we can get a quick plant down, see what happens. And sometimes it's those cheeky plays that work out. We saw Jesper hit one down from last week with the electrical going on the outside of the wall. Sometimes you get away with them, sometimes you don't, and today it's cost them.
Well, Consulate has had a very entertaining 24 hours. That was not a game that I expected to be casting today. And for Trainhard, again, really hope to see them pick it back up again in future weeks, because if that game goes to suggest anything, you really can't ignore them moving forwards. Let's get over to the desk and get their thoughts on this game.
Thank you so very much, gentlemen. And yes, what a game. BDS